Welcome back to the Openly Occultic Book Club. We've been reading the definitive book of human design, The Science of Differentiation, written by Linda Bunnell, authorized by Ra Uru Hu, the founder of the Human Design System. And we finished up on section 2, which covered the 9 centers of the Bodygraph. So hopefully you've gotten your body graph now and you're able to see which centers on your body graph are defined or colored in and which centers are open or just kind of basically like white, you know, whatever shape it is. It's not colored in, it's not defined. Even if the gates are defined, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the center, all right? Okay. And before we dive back into the picking up where we left off, section 3, which will be covering the authority, what does it mean when we say follow your strategy and authority? This will cover the authority. Um, so we'll dive into that in just a moment. Before we get there, I just want to remind everyone to please like the video. That shows your support. It's very important for me to let me know if you guys enjoying reading along with what I like to read. And also share the video as well, particularly with those who are into astrology, because I think this is the next level up from astrology. In fact, it actually, that's what it was for me. It was like an upgrade, so I'm happy to have found it. Other people might be happy to have heard about it or to find it as well. So go ahead, click that share button, share out on your social medias, let the people know that they too can join us at the Openly Occultic Book Club, reading along with us here on this YouTube channel, but also they can meet us in the chat room where we can discuss these things. Um, I like that part because now we can start to kind of flesh out the topic. If you have any supplemental receipts that could go along with what's being said or what we've read, you can throw the receipt, you could throw the link, a short description, whatever you want to say. You can make this comment in the chat room, and anybody that swings by can see it. And if they want to further their research, they can go on with that. And it's just a place where we can all meet and discuss the topic. And lately, the topic has been human design. So let's dive back into section 3 of the human design system. Okay, here we are, section 3, authority, our unique, authentic truth. In section 2 of this book, you were introduced to the myriad ways your strong and gifted mind tries to be the authority for your life, convinced that it knows what's best for you. Your mind will use and think anything in order to maintain its semblance of control, which makes it part of the dilemma that we face as highly differentiated beings. You can make an ally of your mind, however, by defining and honoring your authority and deepening your understanding of your type's strategy. Practice together, these tools free the mind to observe the life of the form as a relaxed, reflective passenger able to enjoy its ride and feel its role as an outer authority for others. The human design system teaches human beings how to live by their own authority, how to make decisions that are individually correct. Although we are all conditioned to seek approval and authority outside ourselves and to make decisions from the mind, we do have a trustworthy personal authority that we can actually rely on to make choices. When we intentionally practice our strategy and authority, we align with our unique geometry or path and our genetic makeup. Our reason for incarnating and our uniqueness are all expressed through us as our true self. Things just naturally fall into place, such as where we live, our job, and our relationships. There are several centers in the body graph that can be defined as a personal authority, and each represents a different way or mode of making decisions. The hierarchy of modes is listed below and elaborated upon in the pages following. Once the mind has been freed from decision making, it can take its rightful place in our life as a valued and valuable witness of our life and outer authority for others. So here's the hierarchy of authority. The solar plexus, which is the emotional authority, the sacral, which is sacral authority, the spleen, splenic authority, the heart, ego authority, the G, self authority, the environment, meaning no inner authority, and the moon, which is the lunar cycle. Your personal authority is listed on your human design chart. Each type of authority is described in the summaries that follow. So it's going to start with solar plexus authority. Let me pull up my chart because I know my authority is solar plexus. So one moment. Yeah, it says here on my chart that my inner authority is emotional solar plexus. Right. To ensure that you make the correct decisions for you, you need to wait, go through your emotional wave, and reach emotional clarity. Okay, that's what it says on my bodygraph chart. Let's jump here back into the book and see what it says there for solar plexus authority. When the solar plexus center is defined, it takes precedence over all other authority centers in a chart. In section 2, we discovered that the solar plexus operates through an emotional wave, and that waiting for clarity is the key to living in harmony. 50% of the people on the planet have a defined solar plexus and are designed to wait out their emotional wave before making a decision. Their motto is, "There is no truth in the now." Truth reveals itself in its fullness over time and emerges eventually as a sense of clarity. Patience is the key component in waiting out the emotional wave before making a decision. As there is no truth in the moment, spontaneous decisions are untrustworthy and not self based decisions. Time is the key with this authority. The more time, the better. Time puts distance between the moment a decision is called for and the decision itself. As you wait, you'll gain clarity, although total clarity or total certainty is rare. The goal is to become as clear as possible. It's best to avoid making decisions from the emotionally charged high or low points along your wave, as this sends chaos into the world and usually results in regret. Death is not accessible to you in the immediacy of the present moment. Though it's difficult to contain the impulse to react immediately, it's best to wait for calm waters before you make your decision. Remember, your truth or clarity comes to you over time. As you surrender to the depths of your uncertainty, you can move beyond the for or against reaction of the moment. You can use this built in waiting period for discernment and to avoid making spontaneous mistakes. The solar plexus is a potent motor and a source of warm, seductive energy that others desire access to. Waiting for clarity can often be used for your advantage. If you ask others to wait while you take time to properly consider their offer, they may find you or your abilities even more essential and attractive to them, assuming what they're offering is correct for both of you. By experimenting, you'll learn and understand this form of decision making and discover for yourself just how powerful it can be to wait. Wow, interesting. Um, yeah, in our last episode, we were discussing the emotional waves of the solar plexus. Hold on. Okay. Here is a screenshot that I took from section 2, where it was showing or discussing the emotional waves, and it was showing, you know, how some are more erratic, if you will, than others. And it went into detail. Um, as you can see, the channel of synthesis, which is gates 19 to 49, if they're connected, you have the channel of synthesis, and you'll be dealing with this kind of emotional wave, same as the channel of community, which is connecting gates 40 to 37. If you have that whole, gate, whole line defined on your chart, if you have both those gates, you'll have this emotional wave. This is the tribal emotional wave, and they say there's need attached to that energy, if you will. For the individual circuitry, it's attached to passion, and for the collective circuitry, it's connected to desire. And these are different gates that give you the channels on that. I went to Facebook, and I'm in a few of the human design Facebook groups. And while I was there looking up these things, because as I said, it applies to me. So start with whatever applies to you before you start branching out into your inner family, your inner circle, your inner social circle, your friends and all that, your children, your cousins and aunts and uncles and your parents, sisters and brothers. Start with yourself, obviously. So I started with myself. I have the solar plexus center defined. I have the solar plexus defined as my authority. So it behooves me to look into how this thing works. I've had the emotional waves all my life. Yes. So this is great because it can help me learn to manage this more as I experiment with this. And I'm seeing a lot of progress. I'm seeing me, like, not really getting caught up or spending too much energy or time, um, doing the wrong thing, leading to wrong, outcomes. And I want to say wrong. Everything's a learning experience, but I no longer desire, conflict where it's unnecessary. And now I know I can just wait out this emotional wave, which I'd been coming to the conclusion of anyway, because I'm, in my mid 40s. So I've been learning these things, but I learned about human design maybe 3 years ago. And it just kind of sped up the progress, if you will, for me. It sped up the process. Anywho, like we said, they give us the emotional waves in the book right here. And then here is an image, a meme that I collected from one of the Facebook human design groups. And it's showing, let's see if I can do it like this. Okay, 47, 49, 37 is need. 55 and 22 is passion, and 30 and 36, these particular gates, is desire. Okay. So it's moving from left to right. The first one, 6, is inclusiveness, right? And it says here, 6, the source of all mating, the source of all wave mechanics, which includes gate 6. Gate 59 is over in the sacral center. So we're discussing the solar plexus center. Gate 6 is in the solar plexus center. And all these other gates are, as you can see, are also in the solar plexus center. But when we're talking about the source of all wave mechanics, we see that that wave is kind of steady, goes up more. This is coming from gate 6 or 59 to 6. Gate 6 being the source of all wave mechanics in the solar plexus center. So then you have, so that's inclusiveness. And then you have 49 and 37. We see they're the next two moving from left to right. They would be described as the tribal need, gate 49 and gate 37. So they would have a different type of wave. You see, that's more erratic. Gate 22 and 55 would be passion. That's individual gate, individual circuitry, passion, right? And we see that that's gate 55 and gate 22. Over here, we have a more of a heartbeat type wave, and we see which channels we're dealing with, and we see, last but not least, going from right to left is gates 30 and 36, which is part of the collective desire, right? And that's a more sharp right turn, jaggedry type emotional wave. We discussed it, we read about all this in section 2 in the last video. In the very previous video to this one is where we discussed the sacral and the solar plexus center in the definitive book of human design. So that's great. Yeah, we see the motor. He said it, we're being told that this solar plexus center is a motor. So, and a biochemical process is involved in this. So there's no way to stop it. You can't think your way out of this. It's just your body is how it's working. So, we have with the gate 6, idle or stall, right? With gates 49 and 37, which would be that tribal need emotional wave. They're describing it as a ratchet slash snap. So that's the second wave here, the tribal need wave, ratchet snap. For the individual passion wave, they're calling it a spike lock. Second to last, a spike lock. That's the individual passion emotional wave. And finally, you have your collective desire emotional wave. They're calling it a crash slash explode. Crash slash explode. And that is the collective desire emotional wave. Very interesting stuff. They talked about the different gates in each of these, right? For your tribal wave, because you have 3 gates with the tribal wave. And that's funny. That's why I call you guys tribe. And it's not too far off the mark for me, because when it comes to my solar plexus and the emotional waves that I've got going on, I have all 3 tribal waves, gate 37, gate 6, and gate 49. Gate 37, gate 6, and gate 49. So my energy, my emotional wave, and my energy when I'm feeling the feels is got a lot to do with the tribe, So I'm into the tribe. I love you guys. Um, Always rooting for you, and join me because this is where we're at. This is where I'm at. So thanks, guys. Also, um, it went on to describe the gates dealing with the individual wave and the gates dealing with the collective wave. So make sure you check that out. You can get your screenshot now while we're here, or you can go ahead and tune into the episode that we have previous to this one, where we were discussing the 9 centers of the Bodygraph. Okay, so now we're moving on to sacral authority. When the sacral center is defined without the solar plexus center, we have sacral authority, the domain of the generator. Usually the sacral voice or familiar uh-huh or uh-uh is immediately heard or felt when generators are asked to commit their energy to an activity or relationship. If there's any hesitation, such as, the answer is, I don't know right now. Ask me again later, or ask me in a different way. Sacral authority shows generators, through response, what is correct for them, what their boundaries are, and what they currently have energy to support and engage with, as compared to the solar plexus center, which shows its truth over time. This is truth in present time. The sacral center only functions in the present moment. It can't predict the future. Its responses tell you whose energy or requests are correct for you and if your energy is available to give to others or a task. When you hear your sacral give the go ahead, you know you'll have the energy resources to persevere until you bring the task or relationship to completion, or until you don't have the energy for it any longer. That's important. That's two different things. When you hear your sacral give the go ahead, you know that you'll either have the energy resources to persevere until you bring the task or relationship to completion, or until you don't have the energy for it any longer, right? Because you can quit or take a break. But that doesn't, that doesn't mean you're done with the task. It just means you don't have the energy for it any longer. Okay? Sacral response is a reliable, honest, and trustworthy guide to reducing resistance and maximizing satisfaction. After many years of conditioning, however, you may find that you need to reconnect with your sacral response. One good way is to find people who can ask your sacral yes or no questions. When you're asked, let your sacral response flow immediately. It may take a little time to get comfortable with your sacral answering, but the more you do it, the clearer your response will become. This is a wonderful way to reawaken and re-strengthen your response and successfully re-engage this always ready to respond inner guidance system. Interesting. So get somebody to ask you yes or no questions. This is great. I know somebody I can test this on, and we can experiment because she has her sacral center, and she doesn't have the emotional center defined. So she's a manifesting generator. And if you're listening, you know who you are. Okay, splenic authority. When the defined splenic center stands alone, without sacral or solar plexus definition, one has splenic authority. This can be felt as an instantaneous resonance or recognition with something or someone, and an inner knowing as to whether it's healthy for you or not. Our highly evolved survival intelligence alerts us to which environments, direction, opportunities, and people are safe and advantageous for us to engage with and which ones aren't. This type of authority requires a deep level of attention to many subtle physiological sensations and an ability to act, if necessary, and correct no matter what the consequences. The splenic voice speaks softly and does not repeat itself. Staying in the present and tuned into what your body's telling you is critical to your survival. This is a purely existential authority designed to keep you safe. Do not allow your mind or the emotional needs, wants, and pressures of others to cause you to second guess or override your splenic center's messages. The splenic center is constantly and spontaneously communicating with you about your moment to moment well being. So there's great wisdom available in listening to its alerts. Those with splenic authority don't have time to go deep and to ponder the broader ramifications of their decisions over time. Decisions must be made in the moment. Wait, and the moment and information is gone. The splenic center is not aware of the future, and 10 minutes or an hour or a day later, what was correct for you may change and your activity along with it. You'll know instinctively when something is correct and safe for you in the now moment, and when it's not. To reacquaint yourself with and honor your spleen's guidance requires experimentation and a deep trust in the inherent wisdom of your vehicle to take you safely where, how, and with whom you need to go. And that is great information to know. Earlier this week, I was scrolling through Twitter and somebody had posted a video of a girl who was riding like in a caravan with some friends. Well, she brought along some new friends, I guess, or some other friends, and she rode with them in the car. But she texted somebody else in another car and said, I should have rode with you. I'm getting a weird vibe from these people. They're being weird. It's just a weird vibe. And the car was stopped at a stop sign, a stoplight, and she was outside of the car, in front of the car, twerking in front of the car. Well, the people in the car, let's start with the driver. The driver hit the gas pedal, and now they're driving. They're running over the girl, kill the girl in the street, um, by alleged frenemies, right? Alleged friends. She called them friends. Clearly they're frenemies. She felt a weird vibe. She texted her other friends, older friends, right? These were some new people she brought. I don't know the story. I don't know the story. And this is not about the victim or the perpetrator. This is not about that. We're talking about the splenic center and how it stands alone, because it's an inner knowing. This is part of your, for all of us, it's a survival instinct. It's a common sense, right? This is part of the common sense that they talk about. It's just one that they don't really want to talk about, right? They discuss your hearing, your seeing, your senses and all that. But they don't discuss your intuition as if it's a real thing. But it is a real thing. And it's a highly evolved survival intelligence, right? And it alerts you on whether or not the environment you're in, the direction you're going, the opportunities, and the people you're with are safe and advantages for you, or which ones to engage with and which ones not to engage with. And from what I gathered from scrolling through this post and scrolling through the comments, because I didn't know about this story, I had no idea about what was going on, and I wasn't looking for it. I'm just scrolling Twitter. And so, from what I'm hearing, see, she had her instinct, her intuition kicked in. I don't know her chart, but we don't need to know a person's chart to know we all have this. Just because it's not defined on your center does not mean that it's broke or that it doesn't work. It means actually that energy is going to be, you're going to feel that energy amplified even more. That's what that means. So all of us, whether we have a defined splenic center or not, can really, we can, what's the word I'm trying to find? We can do better if we start to listen to that still quiet voice, that women's intuition, that gut feeling. We would just do a little bit better if we just went ahead and understood that it's not going to keep saying it over and over again. It's that type of alarm that only tells you one time. Like your mom used to say to you when you were a kid, I'm only say this one time. I'm only gonna say this one more time. Well, she would say sometimes. My mom might have said that once in a while. But when somebody says to you, I'm gonna say this to you one time, they mean business. So the spleen is designed to only say it one time. You need to be able to listen and hear it, understand it, know it. You know what I mean? And so then you can, it's something that is acting and spontaneous in the now moment. You don't have to worry about 10 minutes later or right now, danger. Right now, danger. And move around. You know what I mean? Move around. Because now you know. It's your instinct, it's your intuition, it's a gift. That's part of your unique design. It's a gift given to you so that you can survive in this life moment to moment. I wish you well. I'm sorry to hear the story of the situation with the girl. Um, and we're doing our part here to let others know that they can start listening to that still small voice within them, that inner knowing, and survive different situations, because this is a survival intelligent alert. And let them know, don't just wave off the feeling. Don't wave off the feeling, because this is a feeling that you're going to get in the now. This alert is going to go off in the now, like as it's happening in real time. You're going to get that feeling, and that means move around right now, right? Don't wait. Oh, he's not that bad, or they're not that bad. Don't wait. Don't play with yourself like that. Your body's working just right. You're the one that's not listening. All right. So share this video with others so that they too can know, right? Okay, great. Um, the heart center, ego manifested authority. The ego manifested authority is driven by the heart center's motor to manifest. Manifesting authority is about articulation. Your authority is expressed through the throat center, verbally, and it's important for you to listen to what you say in order to know your truth, rather than what your mind is telling you. Your information as a manifester needs to be verbalized in the moment, as it's not what you think you should say, but rather what you do say when you're not trying to control it. The not self is always trying to control what we say, and in effect, whatever you blurt out in the moment, bypassing the mind, is your truth. If you try to script what you say in any manner, you've lost your connection to your authority. You're designed to have impact, and it's important for you to trust what you say without the mind overriding it. Surrendering to the truth of your voice is key for you. This is where your impact comes from. With so many open centers competing for your attention, you cannot trust your not self mind to speak for you. Your voice initiates and runs your life. Your voice leads and you follow. Trust in your voice. That's for those with the ego manifested authority, because it's driven by the heart center's motor to manifest. And manifesting comes from the throat. So your heart center will be connected to that throat center. And boom, there you go. Ego manifested authority. Speak it. Trust your voice. Yes. Heart center ego projected authority. For those with ego projected authority, the heart connects to the G center through the channel of initiation, which is channel 2551. Gates 25 and gates 51 are defined and linked together. So it defines the channel. This is a rare form of projector, and strategy and authority are essential to those beings, as the only thing they can trust is waiting for the invitation. With a very powerful G center of identity surrounded by several undefined centers, it's easy for you to get lost in all of this openness. Following your projector strategy of waiting to be recognized and invited is the key, as there is no motor connected to the throat center. You need people in your life to come to you and invite you. Projector leadership is a powerful force in other people's lives and is here to guide us. You have an enormous capacity to be a transformative force when invited. If lost in the not self openness, however, you'll not find the success that is available to a projector in life. When making a decision, be selfish and ask, what do I want? What's in it for me? The heart center is a motor, and you'll either have the will or energy to do something or you won't. While you're waiting to be recognized, it's also important that you use the time to prepare by learning about a system or systems that will help you guide others. In either form of in either form of ego authority, or even if not the authority, a defined heart center stays healthy by making and keeping promises and proving that it has the will to complete what it appropriately committed to doing. To avoid taxing the physical heart, one must be correct when entering into situations that require a commitment of energy over a prolonged period of time. In addition, the defined heart must have a balance between work and rest. In effect, the heart center works so that it can also have the time to play. Maintaining this balance is essential energetically as well as physically. Self projected authority. Self projected authority originates out of the G center and connects to the throat center through one of the four channels. The key with this authority is to listen to what you say. Whatever you need to know is in what you say, and you have a G center, a very powerful voice of identity that speaks for you in reaction to an invitation. Your truth is always expressed through the core of your identity. If there's no truth for you, there's no success for you. When you're invited, listen to what you say. Don't try and figure out mentally what you're going to say. Simply listen to and trust your own voice at that moment. Excuse me, I had to get some water. There are no motors present in this type of authority, and you can become totally lost in the conditioning through your open centers. It can be easy for you to ignore your own voice in the moment and thus not fulfill what it is to be uniquely you. You're designed to be guided in your decisions by what makes you feel like you and brings you enjoyment and pleasure. Ask yourself, will this make me happy? Will this give me self expression? Am I headed in the right direction for me? Discussing your impending decisions with others in order to hear yourself, to sense what level of self satisfaction that your decision might bring, is very helpful. To avoid making a decision from your mind, focus on listening to what you're saying without thinking about it. People with a defined G center often provide direction for others, but only hear their own direction by listening to what they themselves are saying in the moment. Environment, mental projectors. A mental projector can have the Ajna center connected to the head center, or the Ajna center connected to the throat center, or the head, Ajna, and throat centers all connected to each other. To have no center of interpersonal authority is rare and unique. When there are no centers defined below the throat center, we have a design that receives guidance from sensory information about the environment through its open centers. If the environment feels wrong, the people you're with or ideas exchanged and bargains made there will not be right either. The first question to ask is this environment correct for me? The caution here is to be aware of the strength of your mind and its tendency to intervene in decision making. When making a decision about what the correct environment is for you, it's healthy and beneficial to physically visit the environments in question and notice and recognize within your body how they feel to you. Though it's good for you to have a group of trusted advisors to turn to, it's best not to discuss a decision in order to get opinions or advice. Your advisors are best used as sounding boards in order for you to hear your own ruminations about the decision. Lunar Authority, or reflectors. When no centers are defined, we have a reflector whose authority is lunar and is determined by the moon's 28-day cycle through the mandala as it visits each of the 64 gates. Before making important decisions, reflectors are designed to wait through their personal and consistent monthly pattern of lunar transits, which repeats each month for as long as they live. If they understand and follow this pattern, they can achieve clarity in their decision making process and enjoy being constantly surprised and delighted by a reflector's life. If they do not honor their lunar cycle, they may suffer disappointment and disease. A key for reflectors is to slow down and not let the world rush them. It's important for reflectors to pay attention to the environment as they mirror it. The core of the reflector is their undefined G center, and being in the correct place with the correct people is imperative to their well being. If the environment does not feel good to them or is unhealthy, they won't feel well or will be ill at ease. Conversely, if the environment feels good, they feel good. Reflectors must also have trustworthy advisors or confidants with whom to discuss any situation and potential decision during this cycle. By hearing themselves talk over time, reflectors will one day simply arrive at an inner knowing, a deep inner sense of which decision is correct for them. Please see Reflectors in Section 4 for more information. The liberated mind as an outer authority. Following our strategy connects us to our personal authority. Excuse me. Following our strategy connects us to our own personal authority. When we're operating as our unique, authentic self, our undefined centers become places of great wisdom. Rather than conditioning us in a distorted way, these undefined centers inform us clearly and accurately about what's going on in the world around us. Once we're on track and aligned with our correct geometry, the mind can begin revealing its own potential as an extraordinary outer authority for others. It can express our intelligence, commune with others to share our unique experiences and perceptions, and inspire them with what we've learned. The mind is here to think, question, interpret, teach, inspire, remember, organize, name, and process data. These are ways that we share the gifts of our mind with those who are here to receive them and respond to them from their own authority. The more we practice our strategy and authority and liberate the mind from making decisions, the more valuable our outer authority becomes to others. Once aligned with our true nature, we're in tune with our own life force energy and our true purpose in life. Something of unique value then naturally emerges from the mind, something others have been waiting to hear, and our liberated mind regains the potential to ultimately express our unique reason for incarnating. Wow. So just, let it go. Let it all go. So that you can just do what you're here to do. See the body as the solution, not as the problem. Facts. This is great. That was very informative, and I like it. I can dig it. Um, we're going to end this video here, and on the next video, we'll jump into section 4, which will be dealing with the 4 types and strategies so that we can get to living our design. Right, guys? Right. So thank you for joining me here today. I hope you got something out of the experience, out of reading what we read, out of little stories I gave, little anecdotes. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you have a defined spleen center or undefined spleen center. I want to know, actually, let me know what your authority is. You got your chart by now. Let me know what your authority is. I showed you mine. My authority is the solar plexus emotional authority. What's yours? Make sure to leave that comment below, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll check you guys out later on the next edition of the Openly Occultic Book Club. Wholeness and balance.